The purpose of this video is to give a sense of how to update a Squarespace website in the areas of colors, fonts, blocks, and buttons. So as you can see here, I'm already in the dashboard of a existing Squarespace website that has launched. The first thing I want to go over is colors. So when you're in the screen right here, you'll want to press Design. From there, go to Site Styles. Then you can go ahead and click on the areas that you would like to change. For example, I'm going to click on this blue header area, and immediately when I click on that, it'll show me the color that it is currently. So this is the color here, and if I wanted to change that color, I could simply just click around these different areas. So this is all the color hues, and these are the shades corresponding with that particular hue that you've chosen. Or you can paste in a color code if you know it already. There are various websites where you can obtain color codes. Examples could be you can just simply type in blue hex colors. Hex is the type of code that HTML colors go by. And if you do that, you'll see a number of different website links, and they'll show you different shades, just like so. Another way that you can do it is go to Color Lovers. So for example, it'll be right there at the top. And you can look through different color palettes and choose what you like. Let's just pretend I like this one. Then as I click through and look at the different colors there, it'll tell me the hex number, or you can put in the RGB. Either way will work. So that's how you manipulate colors. Going back to the site, next we'll go to fonts. In the same way that you've gone ahead and clicked on an area to find colors, you can do the same for fonts. So for this, for example, this is considered a header 1, which is the largest header possible. And it shows me what color it is, and now I want to change the font. Here it'll say font. You can go ahead and click on that, and you can go through the drop-down menu over here. Squarespace does their best in showing you what the actual font is going to look like. So you can go ahead and select them, and it'll change this particular font to that. So just keep in mind, if you currently like your font or it's a contender for your final version on your Squarespace, then remember what the name is. So that way, if you change it to something else, you can easily just type into the search box. So that way you can revert back to a previous font that you had. Similarly, if you hover over any other sections, such as this one, which is an H3, you can change the font. You could also change the weight of the font just by clicking through. The lowest will, of course, be a lighter weight of the font. The higher will be a more bold. Style could be normal or italicized. Size, you could just move this dial here. Spacing, that means the spacing between letters. In this case, we don't have any. Transform would be uppercase, lowercase, or capitalized, just the very beginning of the words. And then line height. Line height represents the amount of height in between your different sentence lines, or paragraph lines, I should say. And so on. You can continue to click through and it'll tell you what areas they are. So just remember that whenever you change something, if you want to revert back, you will need to make sure you write things down. Okay, moving on to blocks. Blocks are related to the actual content areas. So before you can update any blocks, you want to make sure that you're not in the Design tab. Go to the Pages tab. And here on the left-hand side, you'll see the same navigation that's represented in the top bar over here. So just for the sake of example, I'm going to go to a different page. I want to go to About. Again, if you want to click through the navigation buttons, you have to make sure you're in Pages, which in this case I am. And then I'm going to go ahead and hover over this area. So when you hover over the main content area, such as this, you would press Edit. What this is going to allow you to do is add different sections to your website. So for example, you can go ahead and if I wanted to add something at the very bottom, you'll see a line that expands across the page. The length of the line, or the width of the line, I should say, represents the area by which your block is going to cover. A block can be a number of different things. It could be a text area, just like this right here is, markdown, which is usually related to something with code, quote, that's like a testimonial, quotation, image, video. You can add space, lines, buttons, audio, etc. So there's several different options that you can do here. And you can go ahead and play around and click through to understand what each one does. For the sake of example, I'm just going to go ahead and add in, let's say, a line. So as you can see, my line is right here. If I wanted to change the weight or the color, I would do that through the design panel. Similarly, if I wanted to delete it because I made a mistake, I can go ahead and do that. And you can actually drop and drag the line. So if I wanted the line to be at the very top over here, I can do that, or I can move it elsewhere. Now remember I was talking about the line, and how far the line expands across is how wide your actual block will be. Well, in this case, you see the line right here. It only expands that halfway and not the width of the entire page, because when I did this little, either when you add this little block that way or when you move the block, it'll show you specifically how big it's going to be. So if I move this line again down here, it expands the whole width. If I moved it back up there, then it'd be only halfway. I don't really want the line, so I'm going to delete it. I want to show you this same action on a different page that has a little bit more going on. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel because there isn't anything that I did that I'd like to save. Let's move on to, let's say, the services page. Or, there you go. So as you can see here, there's a number of different sections. Some of them are half, some of them are full. I'm going to go ahead and press edit because that's the first step to do whenever I want to add a block. And I am going to just, for now, before I make any decisions of where to drop this block, I'm just going to hover around and you'll see there's something, I could add something that's full width all the way across the page, or I can just have it be kind of in the middle of a page with that, with a little bit of padding. This is called padding right here, between the edge of the page as well as a thing, the line. So I just want to see what my options are for now. Now that I've checked that out, let's say I wanted to add something that's right here. I want to go ahead and add, let's say, some text. And I'm going to actually copy the same exact text just for the sake of example instead of typing something new. Go ahead and paste that there. As you can see, it adds it right on top. And another thing that I can do is, now that I've created it, I can actually make another column to the left of this particular block of text. And it'll go ahead and create a column just like so. Now, earlier when I tried to move this little block, notice that it also will allow me to make it go full length of the page up and down. Don't want to do that because then it's going to push everything over. I just wanted it to be right here. That's why I only dropped it right there. So that's an example of how you can create columns. Now that's back to where it was. Additionally, let's say if I wanted to add a grid of information, I mean, with photos, I can go ahead and do that, and it'll allow me to either use some media that's already existing in a gallery if I have one, or I can go ahead and upload new things, which means that this gallery can be replaced with different photos throughout. So that's how you use blocks. I'm going to erase this because I'm not going to keep it, and then I'm going to cancel because there isn't anything that I want to keep. Make sure that you save if there are things that you want to keep, and then you press cancel if you don't want to keep certain things. The last thing I want to show you are buttons. So as you can see, I have a button right here. I'm going to go ahead and edit just so I can show you how how to manipulate it. Again, if you're wanting to add a button, you would just go to the little droplet and then press button. And then there's a number of different options after you've dropped the button in. So for this one, I'm going to press edit so I could show you. You would add your text. So this is the exact text that's there. The click-through URL is the URL you want it to link to. It can be an external link, which means it's outside of your website, or it can be content, which is within your website, where in that case you would just select something that you've already created on your site, or it could be a file like a PDF or something like that. And then you could change the size of the button. You can make it large, you can make it small. You'll notice that when I made it large, it changed to a different style of button. That's because I hadn't configured the style. It's just going to the default. So if you wanted that to match your others, you would just go to your site styles page in the design section, like I showed you earlier, and you would change all of that. Right now it's medium, and then you can also change the alignment to left, right, or center. In this case, we wanted center. And that's pretty much all that you can update with your buttons. So again, it reiterates the way that you could change the fonts and the colors by going to Home, Design, Style Editor, which was on that sidebar over here when I showed you earlier. I'm going to cancel because I don't want to save any of this. And that was how you manipulate colors, fonts, blocks, and buttons using your Squarespace website. Thanks for watching.